As the federal government continues to react to international condemnation of alleged Christian genocide in Nigeria, Senate President Godswill Akpabio has cautioned against portraying Nigeria's security crisis along religious lines, insisting terrorists and bandits target citizens indiscriminately regardless of faith. Akpabio issued the warning during Thursday's plenary while contributing to a motion on alleged religious persecution of Christians in Nigeria. Akpabio questioned how anyone could differentiate victims by religions after attacks, emphasizing that violence affects all Nigerians equally.
If you look at what is happening in the Southeast, predominantly Christians, most of those that are killed in the Southeast, including the late husband of our demised icon, Dora Akunyili, the way the man was shot dead and everything, will you come and ascribe that to religion? I'm talking about what IPOP is doing. You see brothers killing brothers. Okay, so the sit-at-home that is going on Mondays in the Southeast that has almost crippled the economy of the Southeast. Is it targeted at Christians or Muslims? So Nigeria has complex security situations, and we should actually go out there and educate people, because the moment they bring sanctions to breed poverty. Poverty knows no religion. So for me, engagement will be the best. So when we go into executive session, we can decide to set up a small ad hoc committee to go to United States or America and engage our colleague parliamentarians there. And then to also educate them. Because if you see what these people are doing, most of them are outsiders. When they come and start spraying bullets from GP, or what do you call it, or they throw rocket, they are not throwing rocket into the crowd targeting a particular religion. They are killing Nigerians. I don't know who will now go and sit down and bring out maybe the dead bodies and say, this one is a Christian, this one is from this family, this must be a Muslim. So we are facing a situation whereby these terrorists are trying to terminate the lives of Nigerians. No, I was about to look at your side, because I think a lot of herbalists have also been killed in the. Is there anybody that is opposed to this motion?
Okay. So I have been following this reportage and discussions from the US. The other day I woke up and that was the thing I was listening to on the radio. And it did say about 19,000 churches have been destroyed. And they had a timeline. And that timeline actually recorded from the days Boko Haram was bombing churches, taking people of a particular faith to hostages until date. The last one that became a big issue for them was when Ted Cruz also began to speak about it. And I want to handle this matter this way. When government fails the people, they run to their tribe or their religion. And let's not lie about this. The Pope had to amplify this because of the way Catholics were suffering persecutions. Catholics report to Rome weekly. And they report activities of their churches, wherever the churches are in remote areas all over the world, challenges they are facing. As we speak, in Nigeria, Catholic priests are being kidnapped. A lot of them are being killed on a weekly basis. Let's not deny the fact that Christians are suffering persecution. I agree that terrorism is upon us. There is insurgency in northern Nigeria. There are activities of the IPOB. There are kidnappings. There are banditries. You would think that the Senate president is speaking because of Nigerians, the ordinary Nigerians who are finding it difficult to travel because of the indices that has labeled Nigeria the way we are today. But no, they are going to defend themselves because they fear sanctions more for themselves, not for Nigerians. But I laugh. Do we need to form committees to begin to go to America to explain to anybody? Ted Cruz, who speaks about these things, is someone whose wife grew partly in Nigeria, Plateau State. Her parents were Seventh-day Adventist missionaries who worked in Plateau State, Nigeria. So she had some of her upbringing in Nigeria, and they are in contact with a lot of missionaries in different fields across Nigeria. Nigerian Christians are suffering persecution. If that will solve the problem of insecurity in Nigeria, let's not twist the narrative. We have other issues, but banditry affects the South as well as the North. We have men who have come from different parts and they're targeting people and taking and unaliving them. Our churches at a point in northern Nigeria were unsafe. Christians in some parts of Nigeria till they don't feel safe. Let's not forget what happened in Yelwata. In Yelwata, the Catholic has an orphanage for those whose parents have been unalived and source of livelihood taken away from them by bandits in Yelwata. So these things will culminate into what they call the persecutions of Christians. The Catholic Bishop McCarthy Diocese was in the United States at the Congress where he spoke about the persecution of Christians. He had his statistics. Data don't lie. Everyone who came out to defend the allegations had no data. But each time I listen to what these men are saying on the radio, in the news, in the United States, they all have data. So what are we saying? That they are not speaking facts? How then do we debunk them if we have no facts? Because they say data don't lie. For me, I want to say in Nigeria that is safe. It's not about defending the narrative, but it's about ensuring there is peace in Nigeria. It's about ensuring that our communities are safe again. We have been circled by terrorists, bandits, IPOB, and everyone. But let's not forget that Christians are threatened. A few years ago, Americans launched a rescue operations in northern Nigeria where they went to free some Christian missionaries who were circled by bandits. The same thing happened in Niger State. The same thing happened in northeast Nigeria. And you don't expect them to say Christians are being persecuted? The evidence are many, but rather than address the fundamental problems, we are wasting taxpayers' money to travel to America in the name of defending themselves. It might not hold water because these men work with data, and this data they have. The data they have dates back to the 2000s. And instead of addressing the fundamental issues, we are rather playing politics and trying to catch up or defend. I love narratives like this if it will solve our problems. I expect President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Senate President, and everyone involved in this whole issue to join hands and find a way of ending banditry, ending insecurity, so we don't begin to run with useless narratives about being a Christian, about either Christians are not being attacked or Nigerians are being attacked. It does not matter at this point. If this narrative would solve our insecurity, let it happen. Talking about sanctions, we have been sanctioned already. Our passport is the worst in the world. On the terrorist index list, we are up there, which means that our country is mostly unsafe. And rather than addressing these issues, we are going to defend statements that we would have invalidated by providing adequate security. We were all sleeping until the American government began to clamp down on Nigeria because Christians are being killed. I know Nigerians are being killed. I know everyone is affected, no doubt. But we can't deny the fact that the data they are quoting is not true. It's coming from years of activities against Christians in the north and other parts of Nigeria, the different bombings, the kidnapping, and even the hostage taking of American missionaries in Nigeria on multiple occasions. And what are we going to do? We want to run and try to change rhetorics while the status quo remain. And it's one of the reasons why I said when there's a teething problem, you solve it instead of playing politics with it. The Chief of Defense Staff, the military, the politicians at this point need to know that we have a problem. And until we solve this problem, there are definitely going to be sanctions. No visits will change anything. If Americans have information with facts and data, it is not your narrative that will change it. Let's not waste funds that would have been put into other projects on frivolous trips, just to go make statements that won't change narratives, but ensure we solve our problems. That's what we should be doing at this point. Nigeria is circled. Insecurity pervades the land. Even if it's the Muslims that are being killed or the Christians, at this point, currently, we expect President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to tackle insecurity heads on. He says he's not going to probe the military, but he's also not charging the military to do more than what they are doing at the moment. We need to gather intelligence. We need to decimate bandits instead of the useless non-kinetic approach that is rather giving soft landing to criminals. Criminals and bandits now set terms and conditions of operations, and you expect America to clap for you? They watch all these videos, they watch the discussions, they watch the statements, and they listen to statements from the NSAs of this world. The non-kinetic approach provides soft landing for bandits and terrorist groups. And that is why they continue to take people hostage, they kidnap communities, and they are praised. If we don't solve these things, if we don't end banditry, end insecurity of all kinds, it's going to consume the entire country. And that is why I said the strategy of leaving IPOB to fester in the south will not work, because when insecurity pervades the land, Nigeria will have to pay dearly for it. And from what we see, we are almost paying dearly for it, because all over the US, the narrative is Christians are being persecuted. Not any meeting with the Congress will change anything. It's a label we have as a country today, and we must learn from this that never in our history must we allow any form of insecurity or anything that eventually would denature any administration to fester. I'd love to read your thoughts on this development, and I hope to see you in the next video.